rabbit tattoo ID numbers. So, if you are showing a rabbit through either most of the times 4-H requires it, as well as showing through the ARBA, which is the American Rabbit Breeders Association. So, the tattoo number is in their left ear, the rabbit's left ear. So I'm going to show you one on this little girl here. She's a junior that I decided to keep from this summer. And I try my very best to tattoo them no matter what, whether I'm planning on showing them or not, just because it's a good habit to do. And then it is also something that it just builds authority, and while it doesn't necessarily mean you can charge more for the animal, it just has a higher, in my opinion, validity to your animals. So let me turn the camera around and I will show you what the tattoo looks like. Okay, so she's chilling for me right now. Now, what I have done in the past is turn their butt around to be facing me, and that way I know their left is my left. You flip their ear over and then you can see it there is LL144. Now, obviously, they can move sometimes, and it's not always perfect, but that's not a terrible tattoo number. I would probably fix that. I do use a pen tattoo kit, but you can find ones that are clamps, and it's like it does all the numbers in one go. I don't feel like those stay as well, but I will link to my the video I have about how to do the ID number in their ear, okay? Okay, so who comes up with those ID numbers for the rabbits? You, as the rabbit raiser, is the first person who could come up with one, and I'll go over my system for that in a second. Here's the thing, if your animals have not been pedigreed before, you can start creating a pedigree and the ID numbers with the information you have of the current animals. And I'm sorry for the barn doors slamming. It's an insanely windy day. So if it's terrible, I will continue move into the house. But anyways, you as a rabbit raiser or a breeder comes up with those ID numbers. If you have purchased one and the breeder has not given you an ID number to assign to them, or like what I mean is, like last 2 years or so, I have printed out the pedigrees and assigned the numbers, but they were not tattooed because of years previous, not mentioning what the issue was, supply chain issues and things like that. I wasn't able to get the tattoo needles and things like that, but I was still giving the ear numbers on the pedigrees to the buyers. So those people should have, which there's no reason they wouldn't, if they needed their animal tattooed, put that number that was given into the rabbit's left ear. If you bought an animal and doesn't have a pedigree, doesn't have one assigned to it, you can make it up. If you know that the person you bought it from doesn't do that, it's not a big deal. The only thing is, like, be willing to say, like, you're not claiming breedership, or like it came from your own lines. That's the only qualification or clarification there. If you are tired of your backyard farm taking out way more than you ever planned out of your family's operating budget, check out the Profitable Backyard Farm Playbook, which is found in the description and gives you the complete strategy of how I brought my small rabbitry up to earning multiple 4 figures a year with just 12 rabbits or less at a time. Do you have to give your rabbits tattoo numbers or ID numbers? No, is the short answer. But if you plan to show them, if you plan to sell them as higher quality or as show rabbits, it's ideal that you would do that. I like to use the first 2 letters as the breeder identifier, and now I call it that, and nobody else does. But for me as a show rabbit purchaser, I do show, but not as often. Thankfully, that's a good thing of the show world. You can raise good quality animals and not always have to be showing. But I also will look at the name of the rabbit and the ear number to tell me possibly who that animal came from. Because there is a couple of different French lap raisers who I know they put that first couple of letters in front of the sequins of the ear number sequence there, so I could probably tell who that is. If you plan to be in it for the long haul, I absolutely recommend you come up with something that you could identify yourself as, or that's something that would identify you as the breeder, and then your own little system of coming up with the numbers. Does it matter? No. What I have done is I will do my initials, because I just do things with my name. I don't get fancy with business names or anything like that. So it's L, and then I take the last character of the sire's ear number, the last character of the mother or the dame's ear number, and then I just go in sequence after that. The chances of me doing a breeding twice are kind of small, and then especially ending up with the same gender, the same color, with the same number is still very, very not likely. So if you bred all of one color of an animal, that maybe like Californians where they don't throw anything different, I would try and keep track of how many you are at. If you wanted to just simplify it and do year identifiers and then start with 1, 2, 3, whatever, all the way up, just keep going, you can do that too. There is no reason to get complicated about it. Just keep it as something that you can easily keep track of. Maybe it's a little bit more helpful for you. I've known people who do something that tells them the lines that they come through and things like that. So think about that. As far as characters go, it has to be uppercase letters or numbers, nothing else. No lowercase, no exclamation points or punctuation of any kind. Some people, here's another sequence, they will just put the animal's name in their ear number. That's another thing too. Keep it short, because I've seen some that are very, very long, and for one, it's a pain in the rear end to tattoo, and then judges will make fun of you. So I've seen that happen too. It is funny. Like, some people will be funny with their numbers and things like that. The only other place that you would use the ear number is on the rabbit's pedigree. So I will link to the how to tattoo them video in the description, as well as the pedigree explainer videos, and how to make them and what's the point of them and all the things. But you would always put the ear number of that animal in the upper left corner of the pedigree. It always goes there, of that animal. And then the other thing that might be an idea or a reason to use it is if you live in an area where theft is a common thing. You can be like, most people don't know about ID numbers or anything like that, and it's not, even with rabbits that have up ears and not lop ears like mine do, it's not obvious. So you could be like, if there's a theft issue, be like, here's the ID number. Just a thought. I'm getting more and more people come from inner cities to buy rabbits from me, and so they have a good reason to have that as well. So that is the basics of your numbers. It's not really anything complicated or worth getting stressed over. Definitely, if you are going to have more than 1 or 2 litters a year, I would highly recommend you start tattooing your babies. Watch the video about how to do that, and that's linked below.